How y'all doing? What am I, Western? Oh man, it's been a year. It has been a long time since I've done a video. Let's be honest. I think the last time I did one was January, February time. It is now October 28th. Same year, but even still. During this time of January, February timeframe, I had all kinds of stuff going on. Had a job, still have a wife, I still have a job, but have a wife, have kids, have extracurriculars. Wednesday nights, I'm at the church. Sundays, almost all day I'm at the church, which I count those as extracurriculars. But honestly, it's a blast. I absolutely love going and learning at the church. I'm still on the worship team, so I really enjoy playing. As long as God has given me the strength to continue on, I'm going to do it. So, but anyway, had that going on. Had a Bible study. I was also doing these videos, uploading them to YouTube and Rumble. Sometimes these videos can take a long time to upload. We're talking like, let's say 40 minutes per video. Well, I'm putting them on 2 different websites. That's more, I can't think of numbers. 80 minutes? So about an hour and a half. We'll get there, math. So it took a long time. And if I'm doing this once a week, I'm staying up and I'm struggling. Going to work the next day, just because I also want to spend time with my wife. I also want to spend time with my kids. This is not my end all be all. You know what I mean? I'm still a husband and a father. And so trying to figure out where this fit my schedule was challenging. Let's just go with that. It was challenging. And so that was creating a headache for me. I heard a line a long time ago. I don't know if I heard it in church or if I heard it on a song or if I heard it from one of my friends or something I caught off on another video. But it was something to the effect like God has a plan for you, and he's very excited for you to do that plan. And I started thinking to myself, I was like, I remember when I first started doing this, I asked God, I was like, hey, God, well, I think I asked him if it was his will, but I'm pretty sure it was more of the effect of, God, I want to do YouTube. Something to that effect. During this time, it was late 22, early 23. I was over in Guam at the time. And it was I remember it very vividly. The sky, barely any clouds, like hardly, if any, a big full bright moon in the sky. And I'm just out for a walk. And it was so peaceful. I had like my spider sense wasn't going off kind of deal. I didn't have nothing around me except for, trees and stars. And I absolutely loved it. And so I was talking to God, listening to Christian music and talking to God during that time. And I told him, I was like, God, I want to do YouTube. I don't remember, again, if I asked if it was his will or not, but I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. And he was like, yeah, that's fine. Well, I'm sure he didn't say, yeah, that's fine. Like, yeah, okay, whatever. No, he said, okay. And once I heard this, this other line, God has this plan for you, and he's very excited for you to do it. I was like, I took a step back and I was like, I remember I asked God, or, something to that effect. Hey, I want to do YouTube. And I remember God saying, okay. But I was like, wait, am I supposed to do this? Is there something else for me? Maybe I'm supposed to be, chopping trees down in the belly of Oregon, or maybe I'm supposed to be a missionary, or I don't know, a flower salesman. Do I do taxes? I have no idea. I'm just trying to think of different jobs, right? But I didn't know exactly what I was supposed to be doing. And so that's kind of why I really took a step back. One day turned into 2 days, 2 days turned into 5 months, or something to that effect. So, like I said, I took a step back. I did not take a step back from church. Still been in church, still on the worship team, still serving my church family. I'm serving the community. Still have a job. All of that stuff has changed. I didn't do videos, and I wasn't leading Bible study. That's the only thing that really got different in my life. But during that time, it allowed me to adjust. So there's a couple things that I learned along the way. Really has been. Hey, Chris, how about you do this for like a nail clip? What do they call it? A thumbnail? Or no, not a thumbnail. I can't even think of what it's called, but excuse me. Basically like a little picture of what I'm going to be doing, right? Hey, Chris, this is how you should be approaching this, or whatever the case. And I've had different, thoughts and things of that nature. But I always kept praying, God, am I supposed to be doing this? This is what I'm supposed to be doing. What do you have for my life? And all of this was going through my head for months on end. March, April, May, June. Okay, it's been a couple months, right? But all of this was going through my head, and always like YouTube. It was always in the back of my mind, like, hey, yeah, do this. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure, like, you know how many preachers they have on YouTube? You know how many people that I've seen on YouTube that are, sharing the gospel, doing that kind of thing. And I'm like, that's what you want me to do? And I, hate to say it, but it's if you want to go that route, the amount of ministers or amount of people talking about Jesus on YouTube, it's a lot. It really is. And then I started thinking about it. I only watched 3 people as far as ministers concerned. All 3 are ordained pastors. I'm not an ordained pastor at all. But I'll be straight honest. I'm not planning on being an ordained pastor. But that doesn't mean I don't understand what the Bible says, what the word is, what Jesus has put on my heart and probably put on some of your hearts. Sometimes I'm going to be blunt about it, not all the time, but that's okay. Sometimes it needs to be that way. Of course, with love. So I only watched, like I said, 3 people on YouTube. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, honestly, if that's the case, and hey, someone happens to come across my channel, cool, that's great. I'm not out here for clicks. I'm not out here to get start a mega church. No, that is definitely not my calling. I don't see that being the case. But what I do know is, again, I did lead the Bible study, right? Work with me on this for a second. I did lead the Bible study. Toward the end of it, I really got involved of how to prepare for a Bible study. Unfortunately, toward the end. And that was, in my opinion, a great learning experience. It takes more than a day, and it takes practice. But the determination was definitely there to find out more. Hey, why don't I know about this kind of thing? For instance, I was in 2 Thessalonians, and super interesting, in my opinion. So Paul went from, I don't remember what city he was in, and he went to another city, right? But they happened to be like, he's walking this entire way. It was like 400 miles or something like that. I'm like, dude, that's insane. And you think about it, okay, what's the distance of 400 miles? Well, 400 miles could be, let's see, Great Falls, Montana to Seattle. I mean, that's kind of close, to be honest with you. So you're crossing a couple states, and I'm like, dude, that's rough. And while this was going on, he's getting chased by other people. I'm like, dude, that's rough. I think about that. He's with what? Let's say 3 people total. I don't think it was that many. I think it was just him, maybe another dude. But yeah, and so he's getting chased from town to town to town. And I'm looking at this. I'm like, dude, this is insane. Where he's getting chased from one area to another area to another area to another area, all within this, all within this country. And I was like, it opened my eyes of how different, life really is during that time. Because I'm like, oh, okay, it's not too far away, obviously. I live in Florida. Some of the towns and cities around here, they're pretty close together. Driving, right? Driving. It's going to take me like a half hour to go from here to Walmart, and Walmart is about 3-4 blocks away. The blocks are big, right? Also, I'm kind of short. I have short legs. That's fine, whatever. That's what you get for being 5'7" 3/4. Just throwing that one out there. But you can understand just going from one area to another. I don't know all he had, with him, whether it was a camel, if he had water or food or all this other kind of stuff. But I mean, it's pretty cool. Now that's just one instance of where he had to travel and basically survive in order to spread the gospel. So anyway, that, like I said, that was toward the end of my my Bible study time. And I just learned about that, and it really, again, opened up my eyes. So here I am. Why am I here again? Well, funny story. Again, I have been going to church and still seeking the Lord and still trying to be in His presence and do His will for my life. If He has something for my life that He wants to do, well, why wouldn't I want that for my life as well? That makes perfect sense. Plus, it's God. God knows everything. He knew me before I was even thought of being a person, like way back before the world was formed, kind of deal. And so, what was that, like 7,000 years? Yeah. Give or take. Give or take. But if He has something for my life, it would make sense for me to want it too. And I'm like, fantastic. I get approached at church. This was about a week ago, week and a half ago, something like that. And they approached me like, hey, Chris, we want you to do a small group, a Bible study. I was like, all right. I said, let me pray about it. Because what had already happened with this other Bible study, I was like, it does take a lot of work. And I'm not against it. I didn't feel it like, oh yeah, this is what I should be doing. But I definitely prayed about it, because I could be wrong. I've been wrong more than once, like 7,000 years worth. No, not that many. At least 40 something years worth of being wrong sometimes. Not all the time, but sometimes. And so, again, I'm praying that morning, and I'm like, Lord, I said, if it's your will, I'll do it. I don't have a problem with that. And He goes, nope, I want you to do this. Okay. And I heard Him clear as day. The funny thing is, this entire story, we're talking about, side note, everything at church right now is lining up. Like everything is just kind of lining up one after the other. And you might be thinking, hey, yeah, but that's kind of how they try to do their studies is, you'll do this here and they'll talk about it and go, let's say, for instance, we're going to talk about the book of Daniel. Okay, great. So Daniel has, I think, 7 chapters, 8 chapters, somewhere around there. Can't remember a lot of the stuff off the top of my head. But anyway, it has all these chapters and, oh, this happened and this happened and this is, why this happened and blah, 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 blah. And they'll, keep going in series. All right. So only one of these was in a series, and that was from the pastor. Everything else, we're talking in my Bible study on Wednesday, We're talking about things that we're talking about on men's group on Sunday, which we're also talking about with the night pastors, which has nothing to do with anything else. I say night pastors, but it's a 6 o'clock service, and the pastors aren't teaching Daniel. The men's group isn't teaching Daniel. The Wednesday night group, they're not teaching Daniel. But these are all correlating into this one giant, like, I don't want to say scenario, but it's everything is just lighting up. I'm like, boom, 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 boom. I'm like, what is going on? Because I'm paying attention. I'm like, whatever he's talking about, right? Let's say pastor, he's talking about on Sunday is what we talked about in men's group that morning, and then I go to church. So my Sunday school men's group, and then I go to church after that. Pastor's talking about it. Well, what happened in men's group, I'm getting heard of on Wednesday nights, and something from Wednesday nights, which has nothing to do with anybody else, is getting talked about on a Sunday night. And I'm like, all of this is, right? Sometimes it's not a coincidence. Maybe God's trying to get your attention. So, and also I love to see that our church is steadily going in the same direction with all these different people being involved. It's awesome to see. But anyway, during my men's group, I know I got off on a tangent. During my men's group, our guy Mark, he was talking about some guy who was like, "Hey, look, he's like, look, he went to a conference. If you're not hearing from God, within 3 days, you got, maybe something that you're missing out." And I'm like, I don't think so. I was like, hold on. I was like, you're going to tell me if I don't hear from God in 3 days that I'm missing something? I was like, why put a time limit on God? Could God come in 20 years? Yeah, he could. Could God come and speak back to you or give you some information in 30 seconds? Yes, he could. And so I was like, why would we put a time limit on God? I know what he was getting at was like, hey, if you're in this relationship with God all the time, then you should be hearing from God more often than not. And I get the premise of it, but putting a timeline on it, I was like, that doesn't make any sense. So back to this story, 2 side stories, sorry. But back to this story, I prayed about it, right? I prayed about being a Bible study leader at the church. And I was like, God, if it's your will, I'll do it. Even though I wasn't really feeling it in my heart, if God wants me to do it, I'll do it. He said, nope, I want you to do this instead. And it was that quick. Right after I got done praying, I'm like, well, that's pretty funny. That it was like the second later, if that. And I got my answer. I was like, all right, cool. But it reaffirmed what I had prayed for back in 22, 23 time, that, hey, this is what I want you to do. And so did I stop doing videos or sharing the gospel during that entire time frame to only end up doing it again? Yeah, maybe. I don't look at it that way. I look at it as growth, to be honest, because there is so much that I learned myself. Yes, I haven't shared it with you all yet. I do apologize. But there's so much that I've learned kind of just being removed from everything that I'm excited to be back here, to be honest with you. Now, that being said, are we going to go over Genesis? I don't think so. I think I'm done with that for the time being. And it's not that Genesis is not a bad, or it's not that Genesis is a bad book. It's a great book, and that's why I wanted to start with it. I believe history, through know your history of why things are the way they are now. I think it's a great thing. And you can look at Genesis and Exodus and all this other stuff. You could look at it as history. It's true. You know what I mean? And so, but there's also a lot of other things. Obviously, there's a lot more other things in there. Something about God created man, and man walked with him in the garden. It was awesome. Stuff like that. Some flood. Let's see. What else happened in there? Job actually happens in the book of Genesis. Okay, not like Job itself, but the book of Job happens in Genesis somewhere during that time frame. Let's go with that. Before Exodus. Why is it in a separate section of the Bible? I'm not a scholar. Couldn't tell you. But if you go through chronologically, it's actually pretty cool. Another side note, because that's what this channel is going to be. Just call it side note. Why not? Or rabbit trail or something. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, yeah. Hi, welcome back. Reading the Bible chronologically really opened my eyes. It 100% did. So obviously you got, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Hey, those are, you can kind of say, hey, they're basically the same story. They go around the same time frame. They go around Jesus while he was here on earth until his crucifixion, until he went up to heaven again. Sorry, let's try that again. His crucifixion, then he rose. There, you're welcome. And when he went to heaven again. The book of Acts comes right after that. Acts itself is, it's a really cool book. I love it. But you got Acts and then all of the other, basically, the majority of the New Testament happens within Acts in certain areas. It's really, really cool. And just to see how everything kind of weaves in. Why is First and Second Thessalonians and all the other books, Philemon and Hebrews, why are they all in the different area of the Bible? Again, not a scholar. I wish I had that answer, but I don't. So there's that. We're just going to go with that. Obviously, Revelation, that happened after Acts. So it's Revelation, not Revelations. I love you guys. Just giving you, 2 cents of information. But anyway, that's what happened. God answered me that quick. I thought it was awesome. And here I am again. So I think my next video, I don't know what we're going to talk about. How's that? It will probably be New Testament based. If that's, I'm like 90% sure that's kind of where I'm heading. But who knows? Hey, I might be talking about Jonah. Jonah's a great story. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. I might not even talk about, go over a book. I might talk about feeling angry or feeling anxious. I'm taking some breaths. You can kind of see that. Maybe nervous. What does that do for your body? Well, for instance, anger raises your blood pressure, which raises your heart, which, stuff goes on in your brain mentally. All of this stuff happens. God says, be slow to anger, right? And I'm like, why would I be slow to anger? Well, maybe there's a reason behind it. There's a lot of inner workings. Let's go with that verbiage today. That happen within your body that are bad for you. God knows what's going on. Hey, be slow to anger. Trust me. All right. Does that work? Not all the time. I'm going to be honest with you. Not all the time. But, that's okay. Work on it. I work on it. I have to work on it. Yes. I love you all. I'm excited to be back. I'm excited to see where God takes us. That's really all I got. I'll see you guys later. Take care.